Hello, hello, hello. We are talking about something that is really near and dear to my heart. It's something that a lot of you guys have written in the comments underneath my posts, and I felt like I needed to address it as a family doctor myself. A lot of people, and this has happened for a long time, but a lot of people have written under different posts, etc., comments about how they feel that doctors really only want to keep patients sick. And some of the concept behind that is people have written that, there's no incentive for doctors for us to keep our patients healthy, that we prefer to keep people sick because that is how we make money. And if we didn't keep people sick, we would have no earning, have no income, have no money. And thus, you know, it's in our best interest to keep people unhealthy. That phrase and comment honestly breaks my heart so much. And if it weren't that I was seeing this more and more and more, I probably wouldn't even be addressing it. But I feel like I have to, and give you my side and my take about it. First of all, I am a board certified family physician. I do a lot of videos and a lot of media, but I see patients. I also teach medical students at a med school. I also teach residents as well, and I do scholarly work. I present, I lecture, I teach a class, etc. Okay, I've been in practice for about 15 years, going on even more. And let me just give you my first thoughts about that. First of all, it's hard for me to think that there's so much distrust of the medical system, but I realize that there is. A lot of people absolutely just don't trust medicine or the medical system. And honestly, I can't say that I don't. Um, I can't say that I don't understand. I do understand. I think is my point. I get why a lot of people are distrustful, may not understand or believe in or feel like the medical system is there for them and their families. I mean, I'm a black woman, and from Tuskegee to racism, systemic, institutionalized racism, all gender issues, things that go way back. I feel it as a patient myself, even as a doctor. There's many reasons why sometimes I am skeptical because of who I am as a black woman. I understand. Um, so in that context, in that light, I do want to give you my thoughts about this idea or this concept that doctors, we just want to keep patients sick because it's not in our best interest to keep people healthy. Okay. First of all, I do want to say that I believe that there is a difference between doctors and the American medical system. And when people write these comments, I do believe that a lot of times they're talking about the medical system and not necessarily doctors, or maybe they're not sure who, but I want to make a distinction because as a family doctor who works in the US system, I can tell you I am not a fan of our health system. Okay. I think that there are a lot of things wrong with our health system. And I think you'd be hard pressed to find a doctor who does not agree with me, and probably you as well, that the system is not ideal. It's not. And my colleagues and I, we practice in this system. Most of them, most of us, my colleagues, my friends, there's a lot of ridiculous things that happen. How is it that in America we spend all of this money on healthcare, yet we have the highest rates of certain conditions? Why do we have such problems with infant mortality and disease and death and morbidity and mortality? Why is it that we are not doing so well despite spending so much money? I mean, that's one question right there. And that's a whole nother topic in and of itself. So I want to be very clear. I'm not necessarily saying that I think that the medical system here in the United States is perfect. No. But I do think that the medical system should be separated from doctors who practice medicine. Okay. And what I mean by that is, as a family doctor, I practice within this medical system. People say, why don't you spend more time with your patients? Actually, I'm given only 15 minutes with each patient, unless they're a new patient, a pre-op, or a patient with a special designation that I get more time. They say, well, why can't you just get more? The reason why is because I work for a healthcare system. I'm an employed doctor. I don't work for myself. I don't have a choice. And I don't know that a lot of people realize that a lot of things that happen in healthcare, doctors, we actually are not in control of. Some doctors are, but a lot of doctors are not. If you're an employed physician, you don't get to choose how many patients you see. And in fact, you're measured They keep track. Your employer will keep track of how many patients you're seeing because you're expected to see a certain number of patients. I could go on and on and on. And the purpose is not to sort of bash. The purpose is I just want to let you know and level set that when we are talking about the healthcare system, I do believe that that is separate than doctors who practice in the healthcare system in the United States. And the healthcare system, I do not believe is ideal. And I don't think a lot of people think that way, doctors included. So if that's how you feel, I'm with you 100%. When people, though, say that doctors want to keep people sick, when I hear doctors, I hear doctors. I don't hear medical system, I hear doctors. And I think about people like me and my colleagues, my friends, my classmates, the people I work side by side with, our residents. And it breaks my heart because that's not my experience. So, a couple of things I just wanted to let you know. First of all, and these are my arguments and my reasons for not believing this and why it hurts so much. I know there's a lot of distrust of medicine in the healthcare system, but I again want to separate one's distrust from the healthcare system versus distrust from doctors. And you might have distrust of both. What I would say is if you don't trust your doctor or you're not comfortable with your doctor, the first thing I would say is you got to find another one. Because that right there, I can tell you right now, if you don't trust your doctor, you need to run and not walk, run away. Run to the next person you find and try them out. There is not enough hours in a day, not enough minutes in an hour for any of us to be spending time with people we don't trust. And yes, there are going to be doctors you don't get along with, just like there are coworkers you may not like, or just like there are neighbors you don't get along with. Doctors are people too. Okay. So that's the first thing. If you don't trust your doctor, you should not still be with them. You need to fire them and move on. And yes, there are doctors who are bad apples. Yeah, there are. Just like there are humans of all types that are bad apples, right? These are sort of basic human things, right? There are doctors that have substance abuse issues. There are doctors who behave badly, or there are doctors who don't perform medicine correctly. There are doctors who hurt patients. There are doctors without remorse, doctors who don't care or are callous. But those are few and far between. But do they exist? Sure, because we are humans and we live in life, and that's with any profession. That exists with lawyers and teachers and this is and that's, right? So yeah, I'm not saying doctors are all and everything and we're always this. No, I'm just saying that, sure. But I can also tell you a couple of other things about doctors. And this goes to the heart of why it breaks my heart that people feel like we doctors want to keep people sick, as though we are incentivized to keep people sick. I'm not talking about the healthcare system, I'm talking about doctors. Number one, first of all, we take an oath to do no harm. When we graduate from med school and we start practice, our oath that we promise that we're not going to do harm, that we're going to do our best by people. And you might say, well, it's just an oath, it's just a promise, but you know what? We take it very seriously. Many of us and most of us have dreamed all of our lives about being a doctor. And sometimes it's because we've had medical conditions ourselves. Maybe it's because we have family or friends with medical conditions. And all we wanted was for those people or for us to be better or to find a cure to make things better. And again, I'm not saying all doctors are just golden and everything is magical and this and that, but I just want to let you know our side a little bit. We care so much. I still cry when patients die. I still cry when patients get diagnosed with cancer. When I have to tell somebody they have cancer, I've had to step out of rooms. And I don't know many family docs who haven't done this. You're giving bad news, or your patient is going through something, and you have to literally step out of a room to get yourself together, or go to your office and shut the door because you actually can't take it and you don't want to break down in front of the patient. This is why the concept of doctors wanting to keep people sick breaks my heart, because if only people knew how much we actually cared. I would argue to say that sometimes we care too much, and that's a very weird thing to say. But um, I knew a doctor who worked in the NICU who took care of babies who were very, very sick. That whenever she lost a baby, she would come home and she would go into her room and she would like, you couldn't find her for 24 hours. She mourned the loss of every life lost. And I think every doctor has that in some way and has that feeling. The last thing we want is for you to be sick. The last thing we want is for you to be sick. And I'll just be very honest with you. I'm an employed doctor. I'm salaried. I don't get any more money if you're sick versus if you're healthy. I don't get more money because you're sick. I just want you to understand that. I'm employed. I get a salary. Maybe I get a bonus in our department. Maybe we get a bonus if we earn more revenue and it's shared. But I don't know. That hasn't happened in a little while. I don't get more money for keeping you sick. In fact, I get dinged if that happens. First of all, there are health insurance companies that take a look and audit our charts that have metrics by which we have to follow. Health insurance companies, and they're right by this. But when you have diabetes, there's a certain standard of care that doctors need to be following. Why? Because it's our job to keep you safe. And the science and evidence has shown us that people who are diabetic need to be on a medicine to protect their kidney, a medicine to protect their heart, a diabetic medicine, need to have this checked, need to have this checked. And so health insurance companies actually will monitor and sort of oversee, hey, is this doctor doing that? Is that doctor doing that? Are they keeping their patients healthy? We actually have to answer to people regarding the ways that we are actually keeping you healthy, and that's not a bad thing. We want to keep you healthy. We don't feel good when our patients don't do well. Whenever a doctor feels that worries that they have made a medical error, let me tell you, you want to see a doctor be taken down? It's a doctor who thinks they've made a mistake. You want to see something take a person down to a place that they sometimes never come back from? It's a doctor who either made a mistake or thinks they made a mistake with a patient. I can't tell you how much we care. And I can't tell you how the last thing on our minds is keeping people sick. The other thing too is, we get cited. I'm trying to give you the emotional aspects, but also sort of like the medical legal aspects, right? There are people watching what we do. If we have patients that don't do well, we have bad outcomes, people are sick, we get reviewed by our bosses, by our colleagues. We get reported to medical boards. Medical boards review us. Sometimes doctors lose their licenses. There's a number of checks and balances. I'm not saying it's a foolproof system, right? But I'm trying to just sort of get across the point that we don't want you to be sick at all. We've worked our entire lives to learn how to keep you healthy. And I swear to you, 99.999999999% of us, this is what we live for. This is our heart and our soul and our livelihood. And when you hurt, we hurt. And when you cry, yeah, we're crying too. We just try not to show you. And when you're upset, we're upset. When you're happy, we're happy. We never forget you. We don't. And we want you to be healthy. Let me look at my list, because I just sort of went off and I just need to talk about this. And the other thing I guess I want to say too is, like, so yes, I've talked about a number of things. I think that a lot of people mistakenly think that we are incentivized to keep people unhealthy. I can talk about myself. I'm an employed physician. I work for a healthcare system. I get a paycheck, a salary. I don't get any more money because I do X, Y, or Z, or because I keep you sick. Oh my gosh, that doesn't happen. I take pride in keeping people healthy and well. And let me just also say this, at risk of it sounding like a snarky statement, and I don't mean it in a snarky way, but I'm throwing myself in this bucket. I'm a patient too. You guys have been with me on this journey for a long, long time, and you know me. You know that sometimes I've come on here and I've cried. We've gone through the COVID thing. We're still in it a little bit, but we talked a lot about COVID. You see me rant and rave. You see me do this. You see me do that. You see me going through drive-throughs at fast food restaurants, getting burgers and fries. You've seen me in my kitchen, maybe drinking a glass of wine. You've seen a lot of things. And one thing I can tell you is that, at least in the United States, sometimes we don't always do the best we can at keeping ourselves healthy. And I'm putting myself in this. I don't exercise as much as I should. I probably take a few too many liberties with wine or with some of the French fries I love to eat. And I say this to say that doctors know we don't want you to be sick, but I do want to remind us that there's a lot of things, and there's enough things that we do ourselves sometimes that keeps us sick. I'm not blaming, and I'm not saying we do it to ourselves. What I'm saying, though, is that being sick or having illness is a multifactorial issue, which means there's a lot of things involved. Sometimes it's the things that we do, but honestly, sometimes it's not the things that we do. I also want you to understand that there are people that will be ill not because of any other thing, not because of themselves, not because of what they do or what they don't do, and not because of any doctor or anybody else or anything. It's because of their body and how their body is made. There are people that will have illness and not be well because it's how their body was made. And regardless of whether you believe in God or you believe in, the universe or whatever you believe in terms of how that came about, there are people who came into this earth, literally did nothing to deserve it, did nothing to cause it, and neither did anyone else externally, and they still are ill. And then there are also people who we may not treat our bodies as well as we should, and we might have illness because of that. Illness is a multifactorial thing. And yes, there are some doctors that are bad apples. We go back to that. I'm not here to excuse us. I'm here to say that by and large, doctors, we're not here to keep you sick. I just wanted to say that. And I also want to just go back to the first point that I made, that I do separate the healthcare system from the doctor. When I talk about this concept of doctors, we don't want you sick. I'm talking about doctors. I'm not saying healthcare systems want you sick, but as a doctor who works in healthcare systems, I can say that sometimes I do believe that money is prioritized over safety and health sometimes. Yeah. And I've said this, I've been very clear. I don't always think that healthcare systems and the healthcare systems in the United States are the best. You have me on record saying that. But I know a lot of doctors who don't feel that way. But do I think that's the doctor? No. We get frustrated too. We do. We get frustrated too. There's nothing worse than wanting to get your patient a medication, a therapy, a wheelchair, a home health aid, an MRI, and you can't because there's an insurance company telling you you can't. The hours I've spent on the phone with insurance companies just to beg them to allow me to do my job, and then sometimes they say yes and sometimes they say no, ultimately translates oftentimes into how well I think I can take care of patients, and it kills me. It kills all of us because it's not helpful and it doesn't help you. I can go on and on and on. And by the way, for those of you who are doctors or work in the healthcare system, like nurses, maybe you're a nurse, a CMA, maybe you're a PA, I'd love to know what you think. I'd love to know your thoughts as patients as well. I hate it that we only get to spend sometimes 15, most of the time 15 minutes with you, that you wait in the waiting room forever because we're running late, because we only get 15 minutes, because we run over, because we only get 15 minutes and blah, 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 and all this other stuff. And then you come in and then you feel like, I hate waiting. We hate you waiting too. We hate it too. We're patients too. We hate that. It's infuriating. So many things. I want you to know I'm with you. I guess maybe what I'm trying to say is I'm on your side and I'm with you on this. But I do want to separate and let you know that doctors, no, we don't want you to be sick. And I can tell you, I am not incentivized to keep you sick. I don't make more money because you're sick. In fact, you want to talk about my self-esteem being in the crapper? I've told you this before. One way to knock a doctor down is to let them think they made a medical error. You want to see a doctor almost lose it? That will do it to anyone because we live for trying to keep you healthy. It's our life. It's our love. So it's okay to be skeptical because I don't even think in this world we can get by without being skeptical. There's so much BS in this world. I mean, not just healthcare, like a lot of stuff, right? I'm not going to tell you to be like, oh my God, everything's perfect. Oh, of course everyone's on my side. No, you don't have to be that way. But I don't want you to have so much distrust and skepticism that it actually hurts you. My problem is when the distrust and the skepticism actually hurts the patient. If you're not comfortable with the situation that you're in medically, find a new medical situation, a new medical home, a new medical place that you feel like you can be nurtured and comforted and cared for, and you can get your questions answered, and you can feel that way. You shouldn't live life feeling on edge with regards to your health. You don't deserve that. I'm probably leaving out some points that would be helpful to make. I spent some time preparing this because topics like this, I needed to make sure I had my points. But I'm sure I've left some things out that I will have wished that I said in terms of in defense of doctors, in defense of medicine. It's not perfect, but doctors, we do try hard. And we care about you more than you know. And we hate that you don't trust us or trust medicine, medications, the healthcare community. Because oftentimes that distrust translates into poor health outcomes. Not always, but sometimes. And that's not what we want. So I want to know what you think. Um, Healthcare providers and people who work in healthcare, let me know what you think too. Let me know what I left out, what things I forgot to say, what things I didn't say. I hope that I've gotten across my sentiment the way that I mean it, which is from a place of love and care and understanding. But also, like, I don't want you to be so skeptical that you don't seek medical care. How else can I say it? I want us as a community, as a country, to be healthy and to live long, happy, healthy, thriving lives. So anyway, I'm going to stop because, as you can see, this makes me pretty emotional. But let me know what you think. There's a lot of you guys on, and I really appreciate it. On Facebook, I see you guys are sending stars, and I appreciate you. Thank you. If you've not liked and followed my page on Facebook, please do. I have my subscription groups, Dr. Jen Superstars. So, superstars, we might touch on this topic next Wednesday when we do our private live. On YouTube, I see you guys too. A lot of you guys are commenting. I can't wait to read the comments. I'm going to go back through those. At TikTok, I see you guys as well. Actually, most of the comments I get about doctors wanting to keep patients unwell, I probably get mostly on TikTok and then sometimes on Facebook as well. So I'd love to know what you guys think. Thank you guys for all the gifts and the stars and the hearts. Let me know. I love y'all. I just want you to be safe and healthy and happy and not feeling skeptical and all that good stuff. Okay, I'm rambling. Okay, I love you. All right, guys. I will talk to you soon. Bye. Okay.